There are giants among us. They are the men and women building our Navy's next generation submarines. They are giants in what they do because they work in a place where they can grow, where they can learn the skills to build careers as powerful as the beasts they forge. We build giants because it takes one to build one.
Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to Trek on Tuesday. Thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Aaron. I'll be your host. But as usual, I'm not the star of the show today. The most important person on camera is this gentleman sitting next to me. Ladies and gentlemen, please say hello to Matt Zirkle. Matt, how are you doing today?
Very good, Aaron. Thanks so much for having me.
It is great to have you. Matt is an Eagle Scout. He is also a retired Rear Admiral with 36 years of naval experience. Matt is here to talk to us today about something called Build Submarines. And I want to give a quick shout out. An organization called Build Submarines. They are one of our newest sponsors, our newest proud partners of Scouting America. Welcome aboard, folks. We are so glad to have you on board. We're so glad that you were able to make Matt available to talk to us today. I'll just give the folks, Matt, I got tons of questions for Matt, a very interesting guy, Eagle Scout, background in the military, but I wanted to sort of tell the folks about Build Submarines. Building submarines is more than just another job. It's an opportunity to create powerful underwater vessels that push the boundaries of technology and exploration. These are important jobs, and Build Submarines is, correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, kind of actively trying to recruit that next generation of workers. These are workers that need sort of unique skills, right? One of the great things about our sponsorship team is they always bring us sponsors who just sort of fit like this. And Scouting America is all about preparing kids for life. Matt, you experienced that when you were a scout. And building submarines, wow, also about preparing kids for jobs and things like that. Matt, maybe just give us an overview real quick about Build Submarines and your role with them.
Absolutely. So the building submarines part is part of the Navy's overall effort to reinvigorate what we call the maritime industrial base, or the MIB for short. And of course, Navy, you have to have acronyms, right? So, but it's all about the maritime industrial base, and it is our outreach effort and a way to interact with individuals out there who would be interested in learning more about a career in building submarines and building giants. And so we've been doing that now this effort has been going on for several years at this point. And as you said, I'm an Eagle Scout. And so when I found out that we were actually sponsoring 4 of the merit badges there, I got pretty excited about that, and have been lucky to work with you and with the Scouting America program to highlight a lot of that stuff that's going on.
Yeah. Very, very cool. Yeah. Another thing we have in common, we love our acronyms too. We love it. So yeah, that's something we definitely have in common. Let's talk about those 4 merit badges. Very, very, again, proud and happy to have Build Submarines on board sponsoring the electricity merit badge, the engineering merit badge, the welding merit badge, and the robotics merit badge. These are merit badges that obviously previously existed. They've been around for a while, but it's the perfect fit for Build Submarines. Behind the scenes, Brian just posted the URL. Build Submarines has their own website, of course, but they also have their own special page for scouts. There you go. Thank you, Brian. We encourage everybody to go to buildsubmarines.com/scouts to check out those merit badge opportunities. Yeah, it kind of goes. I don't know much about submarines. I'm going to be honest with you, Matt, but I have seen Mission Impossible. There were some scenes on a submarine there. So, I'm kind of an expert basically, but maybe talk about those 4 merit badges. Yep. Were those merit badges a part of your scouting experience by chance?
So interestingly, and admittedly, I did not earn those 4.
Okay. All right.
At the time,
Yep.
but I'd like to focus in on the fact that the different merit badges that have been chosen at this point, some are more related to trade skills, specialty skills. So think welding, right?
Right.
Pipe fitting, things along those lines. Electricity, but engineering and robotics, which might be more of a degree program, we have a mixture of both in there. And that's one of the things that we're trying to emphasize, that at least when I was growing up, I would expect maybe the same, Aaron, there was almost an expectation that you had to go to college, right?
Right.
If you're going to have a career, got to go to college. That's just simply not true, especially in this day and age. You can have an incredibly great career in a skilled trade as much as you can going to college. And I think even more of an interesting point is you don't encourage, you don't incur college debt, right? So I live in Virginia Beach, and there are many school districts like Virginia Beach where we actually teach juniors and seniors in high school how to weld. And because of our location, we have America's largest naval shipyard there, which is the Newport News shipbuilding.
Right.
It's not unusual for kids to already have seniors to already have jobs lined up at various different places because they've already learned how to weld, and they're going immediately from high school into a great paying job. So I think it's very mindful of the 4 merit badges that we chose. They're a bit around STEM, but they're also around job skills that are very, very needed. So Aaron, it's important to know that in what we call the era of great competition, power competition, that people are aware that the Chinese are out there, the Russians are out there, they have quite the submarine force. And we have a mission to build 2 Virginia-class attack submarines and 1 Columbia ballistic missile submarine every year. At the height of the Cold War, we didn't actually turn out as many submarines or as much tonnage as where we're trying to go to now. And after the Cold War ended, and we had the 90s, we stopped making submarines. Well, it's just like anything else. It's if you don't keep up with it, you lose those skills, and we lost a tremendous amount of skilled labor. So the emphasis behind buildsubmarines.com is recognizing that we need anywhere from 140,000 to 200,000 skilled trade workers over the next 9 to 10 years in order to be able to build the number of submarines that we need in our Navy to be able to be a deterrence to some of our adversaries out there. So that's the emphasis behind this.
Got it. Yeah. And I want to go back real quick to what you said about going to college. I agree with you. There was a time where I think people thought if you want to get paid, you go to college.
Right.
There's a thing called supply and demand,
right.
And you don't have to go to college. I learned about that a long before college, right? And again, correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, there's a real demand for these jobs. And because there's a demand for these jobs, that means you get paid. Is that an oversimplification?
100%. And then on the supply side, it's just not there.
Yeah.
It's our skilled trade base has atrophied over time. And so the Navy, through our partners, Blue Forge Alliance, who is the sponsor of the buildsubmarines.com website, we are out there investing in high schools, investing in community colleges, investing in trade schools, and even some of the shipyards themselves have their own programs. So we're making big investments in there to build out more welding booths for training and other opportunities like that.
Awesome. Very, very cool. And again, those 4 merit badges, if you're a member of Scouts BSA, or even if you're in venturing, you can still work on merit badges: electricity, engineering, welding, robotics. There's the behind the scenes. Brian again posted the URL in the chat, and I'm sure he'll throw it up on the screen here regularly as we talk for the next 20 minutes or so. Matt, you've got years and years of experience, decades of experience in the maritime industry. You were in the Navy.
I was active duty in the Navy, and then I spent 30 years in the Navy Reserve, and then ended my career back on active duty.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about what that was like. And then maybe you could also tell me why did you feel the need to partnership with Build Submarines and sort of go on to this sort of next journey, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's great. So I joined the Navy in 1984. I know, that old. It frightens me sometimes.
I think you're
8 years.
Eagle Scout class of 1980, I think. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Eagle
Okay.
Scout.
So you joined the Navy in 84, just a few years after earning the rank of Eagle.
Yep. Yeah, I went to school at UC San Diego immediately following high school, and I joined the Navy Nuclear Propulsion Program. And they had their own school for teaching how to operate nuclear reactors. And if you want to be on submarines as an officer on a submarine, you had to learn how to operate the reactor. So I did that, and was a member of the submarine force in active duty for about 3 years. I got to go to the North Pole and surface up there. I won't tell you whether or not I saw Santa Claus. We'll leave that as an appropriate secret.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. And then and also got to go over to the Western Pacific. When I left active duty, I stayed in the Navy Reserve. Came back on active duty several times during that, with the opportunity to go serve over in the Gulf. Lots of stuff going on over there right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Always a hot spot.
Yep.
Then I ended up once I became an admiral, I ended up coming back on active duty and spent time mainly in Europe, learning a lot about NATO and our operations over there. I retired in 2020, and when I retired, I actually became president and CEO of a defense contractor, one that actually repairs all of the submarine force propellers.
Okay.
So essentially, I got to continue serving, not in uniform, but helping out. And I was introduced to a lot of the trades folks that we had on the floor there, who had years and years of experience. And in fact, really, just to give you a sense of this, it probably takes 3, even though you get your welding qualifications, but it's about 3 years of apprenticeship where you're really learning the tricks of the trade and how that all works. So the important part of that is that this is not an overnight success story, right?
Okay.
We got to get people in to learn the basics of welding. And even then, it's still going to be a period of time where they ramp up to be more like a journeyman level welder. I did that for 3 years, and an opportunity came up to join what was at that point the submarine industrial base. It has now become the maritime industrial base because we're not solely focused. There's a lot of focus and emphasis on building submarines, but we also build destroyers and aircraft carriers and things like that, and they need those same sort of skills as well. So we've
Very
opened,
cool.
yeah.
What is life like on a sub?
So not like the World War II movies and not nearly as cramped.
Okay.
But it's a great camaraderie. I still have several friends that I communicate with from my time, even as far back as the 1980s. And I really appreciated the sort of the team nature of that. It is very much a team sport. You're depending on each other. You're diving down deep in the ocean. The ocean's not very forgiving in that regard. And so you come to rely on each other. And you think about scouts, right? That's a total team sport there as well.
Yeah.
If you're out hiking in Philmont and you're in the backcountry, you need to depend on each other, and you build the same sort of camaraderie. So
That's
why I think, scouting in the military and the Navy and all fit very, very nicely together, because the skills that you're developing there are important in the military. They are also equally important. The jobs that we're talking about here at the Maritime Industrial Base, they're not uniform jobs. They are working at private and public shipyards. But again, you need a total team attitude. It takes a lot of people to actually be able to put together a ship. Some of those things that those people do are dangerous. And again, you're relying on your teammate there to look out for you and for you to look out for them, and do all this stuff safely.
Yeah, that's great. For those of you just joining us, we are chatting with Matt Zirkle. He's an Eagle Scout. He's a retired from the U.S. Navy and is currently with Build Submarines, one of the newest proud partners with Scouting America, sponsoring 4 merit badges. I should have those memorized by now: electricity, engineering, welding, and robotics. 4 STEM-related merit badges, and we are so happy to have Build Submarine on board with that. Matt, you sort of mentioned this a second ago, but I'd love to get into this a little bit more. Why do you think Scouts is a good place to recruit future members of this workforce? What is it about Scouting that helps prepare kids and young adults for this type of work, do you think?
Well, it's interesting. One of the things that employers are looking for, as much as they're looking for their, the hard skills, right? I'm a welder. They're also looking for what we call the soft skills. I show up on time.
Yeah.
I show up if I have a uniform or an outfit. I wear it with pride. I'm reliable. I mean, if you think about all the things in the Scout Oath and the Scout Law, those are things that employers really deeply desire. And so I think to do the scouting program requires a lot of discipline. It requires, especially as you go for the higher ranks, it's a lot of dedication to being able to do all the things you need to do to become a first-class Star Life Eagle Scout.
Yep.
And so it is prepared for life, and that's part of our slogan, and that's incredibly relevant to when you're trying to build things like a submarine.
Yeah. Again, it's a brilliant natural partnership that we have between Scouting America and Build Submarines. Matt, I'm curious, just your own. I know it's been a few years since you were a scout, not that many years, but a few years. Your memory of your scouting experience, do you think it helped prepare you for your career?
Oh, 100%. When I think about the fact that I made an Eagle, I'm very proud of that. I would tell you the thing I'm probably as proud of, or maybe even more proud of, is my experience at Philmont.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So I was, and I believe the program's around now, it's slightly changed, but I was part of what was called the Rayado Man program.
Yep.
I think it's just simply Rayado now.
Yes.
Life Scouts and Eagle Scouts from all over the country put together. You don't meet them until you get there. At least that's the way it used to be. And we did 15 days of hiking around Philmont. We did both Mount Phillips and Mount Baldy in this one. So it was really tested my endurance and taught me a lot about perseverance to be able to go through, that experience. We were there in August. Of course, August is monsoon season. So, and they split you. So it's like 6 scouts all together and a ranger. And the ranger comes and goes and tells you where you'll meet them next. Then we break out into like groups of 2. So again, relying on each other, and you have some solo experience. The group of 2 one was another young man who was from Florida. I was from Colorado at that point. And we spent the night up on the Tooth of Time in a monsoon downpour. And I obviously have not forgotten that, but that was some great perseverance of, are we going to make it through the night, through this storm? No tent. We had to figure out like all sorts of stuff to be able to kind of make it through and survive that ordeal. So that's why I love scouting, because there are just some incredible experiences like that. I just recently went through one with my son, who I just saw a text message. He's almost got his Eagle Scout project application done. I'm very proud of him.
Very nice.
And he chose to do the hiking merit badge of the 3 options. He went with hiking.
Okay.
And so he and I were doing the 20 miler at the very end, and we did half of it on the Appalachian Trail, half of it off. Turns out Dad's measurements of what I thought was 20 miles turned out to be 24 miles. It was in the fall and getting dark at the very end. And, but I know in my heart, at least I will never forget that hike because there's a lot of perseverance and going beyond just what you think you can do and stretching yourself a little bit more. Scouts does that for sure.
Yeah. And what a great preparation for a career right there. A quick shout out to a few folks in the comments. Good to see you, Kim. Carrie says it's an honor to work with Admiral Zirkle in Scouting America. Thank you, Carrie. The honor is all ours. Trust me. Teresa says her son is chasing the hiking merit badge as well. And someone posting under Build Submarines. Who knows if that's official? Great to hear from you, Matt. Thank you all for sharing. I'm kidding. Of course, it's official. Glad to have you watching. Appreciate that very much. We've got another 10 minutes or so with Admiral Zirkle here. What excites you the most about what you're doing now, Matt?
Well, it's well, a couple things. So Carrie, I'm assuming is Dr. Carrie Curtis, and she's one of my teammates.
Nice.
And you know, even after serving time in uniform, I love our MIB team. We're actually split up into different efforts. So we have the workforce development one, which the buildsubmarines.com is that particular piece. We're looking at supply chain, which is how do we make sure that the companies out there are able to supply the different parts that go into a submarine. And we also have a whole technology group. And some of the stuff that they are doing are amazing. In fact, I wouldn't doubt that. So one of the things that they work on is additive manufacturing, which is most people know as 3D printing. And it's not using little like plastic things and making little plastic parts, although you can do that. But they have some that are ginormous. And they make metal parts. That's fascinating. It's a great team. I've got to learn a lot about other companies where I live in the Hampton Roads area of Virginia, and build great friendships there. And I get to continue to serve the Navy. I may not be on active duty, but I'm doing something that I've loved since I was a kid. Actually, I grew up around ships. I lived in San Diego and I lived in Chesapeake. And I just can't imagine not doing something for the Navy. So I'm proud to be able to still support that. This year is our Navy's 250th anniversary birthday.
Yeah.
So Navy 250. That's coming up in October when we will celebrate that. So just a lot of great heritage, a lot of pride and all those kinds of things.
Very, very cool. I've got a good question from a viewer, if you don't mind, Matt, real quick. George asked about, by the way, George, this is a great segue into my next question. And Matt, any resources you can recommend for scouts who are interested or already involved in welding? Where would you advise them to go? And what do they need to know if they're interested in welding or maybe already involved a little bit?
So I think there's a couple different ways you can go about that. A lot of high schools in and around, especially at the 11th and 12th grade, they do actual welding programs. But there's also some programs, for instance, in Virginia, where we actually have what are called virtual welders. So not nearly, potentially as dangerous, but in middle school, kids can do sort of STEM type programs that actually have virtual welding in there. And it's a great way just to get sort of an initial feel for what that is like.
Awesome. Awesome. Anything else you can share as far as prior experience goes for someone who might be interested in the Build Submarine programs? Anything they need to do, before officially getting involved?
So as you might imagine, so now I'm going to sound like a dad or a parent. You got to do really well in school. It's really, really important. And if you if you don't have the math skills, you're going to have the math skills. You know, like how many times do our kiddos say, well, I'm never going to use this, right?
Yeah.
Well,
I hear it all the time. All the time I hear it.
exactly. And so it turns out 100% you have to have math skills in order to be a great welder. Why? Well, because you're taking all sorts of measurements. You need to be able to read drawings and all that kind of stuff. It's super important to have those kinds of skills going forward.
Gotcha. Very, very cool. I want to talk about one more thing before we let you go. Speaking of acronyms, there's a thing called I'm sorry.
ATDM.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you. ATDM. That's Accelerated Training in Defense Manufacturing. Thank you, behind the scenes, Brian, for putting that up. Matt, I'm gonna stop trying to say what it is. Can you just explain to the folks what that is?
Yep. And Aaron, I know we're on live, and I'm really worried that my battery might be dying here soon.
Oh, okay, that's
I'm going to talk really quickly. ATDM
no problem.
is a program that the Navy is invested in. It's in a place called Danville, Virginia. And you can go out there not having any knowledge about welding and learn to be a welder in 16 weeks. The Navy and others pay for that training, and if you need a place to stay, they provide lodging as well. They offer 4 other courses out there as well. Non-destructive testing, that's like figuring out if the weld is good or not good. Non-destructive, you don't have to break it apart. CNC machining, additive manufacturing, remember the big 3D printing type stuff?
Yeah.
And then metrology, which is quality control and making measures. Did they actually make it to the right size and specification?
Gotcha. Very, very cool. Yeah, I want to also encourage everybody, these 4 merit badges that Build Submarines is sponsoring. Obviously a great start on your journey. Not the only thing you can do. There are other ways you can obtain skills. We encourage everybody to look at your local community college and explore training programs they may have there. There may be some entry-level positions you can find. Lots of different opportunities. Matt, before we let you go, any final thoughts on Build Submarines? If we had to summarize our whole discussion down here into just a couple of minutes or so, what's the final message we want to send out to folks?
We really need a lot of help in making sure our country is secure. You don't have to serve in uniform to do that. You don't have to go to college to do that. There are just so many different great opportunities out there, and it's about being part of something bigger than yourself. And scouting's like that, and I think building submarines is also just equally rewarding.
Awesome. Very, very cool. Marnie's asking about how a scout utilizes the site to earn the merit badges. Go to the site and check it out, Marnie. But basically, you earn the merit badges the same way you would normally. This is just sort of an extra resource, right, Matt?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, this is just a resource. The entire purpose of the Scouts BSA Merit Badge program, we hope, is that it will inspire kids to discover maybe a new hobby, maybe in some cases a new career. And these are certainly 4 merit badges that could get you on your way to a career. Maybe it's sort of it's sort of an entry point, I think, right? Where you can learn, is this for me? Is this not for me? Electricity, engineering, welding, or robotics. These merit badges have been around for many, many years. Build Submarines, we are very, very proud to have them on as a sponsor. That part is new, but Marnie, the process of earning the merit badges is the same. They'll need to find a merit badge council in their area, a merit badge counselor in their area. This has been great. Matt, I really appreciate you coming on. It's been so nice getting to know you and speaking with you today on our little show.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for the opportunity to highlight what a great opportunity it is.
And again, Building Submarines, welcome to Scouting America. We're so glad to have you. One last time, Brian, throw that URL up on the screen. There it is right there, buildsubmarines.com/scouts. Everything you need to know at that link. Thanks again, Matt. Thanks to all you for watching at home. We appreciate that. We'll be back with another episode soon. So long, everybody. Thanks, Matt. Good to see you.
Thank you, sir.